How do you channel Michael Jordan in your piece of the world?
I think it starts from the competitive. Well, I think it starts for the love of what we do. I really do. I do love what I do. I don't love real estate so much as I love problem solving.
Yeah.
Right. We're engineering new deals. We're trying to figure out ways that others have been unsuccessful in achieving.
Yeah.
And that love and drive is a hunger that every day you wake up to want to get better. And that's one of Jordan's best things is he's always getting better. Jordan never stayed the same. He got bigger, he got stronger as defenses, honed in on him. He learned how to adjust. So the mindset is you never get comfortable. Yesterday is behind us. Tomorrow we get better. And in any aspect of life, from how you respond to an email, how do you address someone, how do you show space, how do you communicate difficult things? Every day is an opportunity to get better. And if you approach it that way, there's always so much, because what you learn is how much we don't know, how much better we can get. Failure is our best friend, right? The closer we get to failure, the closer we are to figuring out what doesn't work. So from that aspect, it just, every day that the sun, that you're above ground, you have a new opportunity.
From Griseda Partners, this is Durable Value, an investors podcast, where hosts Joe Muratori and Ryan Suela demystify commercial real estate with safe, sound investment strategies to help you balance your portfolio.
Great. Well, it's great to be here today with Ollie Nadimi.
Thank you for having me.
Managing Director with Newmark Knight Frank.
Yeah.
Ollie and I've been working together quite a bit. Best I can tell, we're on track to do about $50 million in business this year. And best I can tell,
if not more, you're quite aggressive, so it's been.
Best I can tell, we're just one of your clients, maybe a small fish in the Ollie pond. So I'm kind of thinking you're a big deal. And
people know about me.
People know about you.
No, I think in order to provide the level of service, unless you have a great bandwidth, you're probably selecting only a handful of people to work with in this manner, and that's essentially what we've created.
So tell me about your business. Like how do you think about your year? How do you?
Yeah, so I'm a office leasing and sales specialist at Newmark. I've been in the business for about 15 years. Started at CBRE for 10 years. Made the transition about 5 years ago with a specialty in landlord advisory work. And then there was a slight focus in government work, working with the county and the state of California, since they're our largest occupier in the area. And over the last several years, I've transitioned over to doing a lot of government tenancy work. So representing the state of California, working with the county of Sacramento, although they don't have a contract, we've established a relationship with them. And then in our relationship, we've been working on some leasing for a family that we've also been doing dispositions. Yeah. So as a result, we've been able to do some leasing, do some advisory work, some disposition work, and acquisition work.
And give us a little background on who you are too. I've gotten to know you a little bit. Tell us your story.
So just briefly, I was born in Iran during the revolution in '82. So getting to the United States was a very big challenge for my family. Mom, sister, and I, slept in one bed for years. Kind of what most people have endured in this country. The first house we moved out into, it was during the Iran-Iraq War. We were evicted because we're Iranian. So there's a little hardship. That like most people,
That's
you
here
overcome.
In Sacramento?
Just here in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And they're not bad people. It's just, some people are uneducated. So that happens in third grade. So you go through life and you kind of learn, all right, not everything is stacked your way. You get into brokerage. And as, I was a promising intern, but the moment you get into brokerage side of the world, it's, you have competitors. So you're back to facing adversity. And it all depends if you want it or not. It's up to you. So kind of, hopefully
circling back, you mentioned something about high school and like how that sort of framed your psychology. I want to get a little, we all have our psychology. This is a show about investing, and that means it's a show about people. And you're an important person in Sacramento for that. Tell us about what informs your psychology, what motivates you and drives you.
I think, going a step further, so very simple elementary school career, very simple, no fights. Best kids. I grew up with all these kids from kindergarten until sixth grade. Then you go to a junior high that is an urban city junior high. So you're now dealing with adversities and challenges that aren't day to day for you and your family, but you see your friends, your colleagues, your teammates on basketball teams. So you start experiencing and understanding, maybe being a little compassionate to other scenarios, and how just getting to school isn't. Getting to school for some people is a huge challenge. Where for us, how difficult it is. So you start putting in perspective how fortunate you really are. So, your eyes kind of open. And then high school transition, instead of going to the high school, my mom had me go to a specific high school that the kids there were not busting. They were coming from very affluent families. So I went from an inner city junior high to feeling very compassionate and, oh man, this is tough for some people, to now the flip side.
Yeah.
And to some degree, I am the complete outsider.
Yeah.
And so you're back a fish out of water to some degree, trying to figure out how to, I don't want to use the word assimilate, but how do you fit in? And high school is a very difficult time. Kids are going through their transition, so kids are, who they are. They're finding out who they are, so therefore you're the brunt of probably jokes. So high school was a difficult time. Like for many people, you struggle and you're trying to figure out where do you fit in. So it helps you self-reflect on who are you. And you've had this experience in junior high, now you've had this experience at high school. I don't believe I really found who I was or the confidence to find who I was until after high school.
And now you're in the brokerage business, which is
now in the brokerage business,
which is a bit of a fish out of water business.
Entirely,
it's a business where you can have tremendous success, but you have to earn every piece of it.
Every piece of it, and that's from the ground level up.
Yeah.
So no special circumstances. Just my approach to it was, what are people that are making these decisions looking for in their broker? Mm-hmm. So learn it from the ground up. Don't feel special. Don't feel that you need to take a shortcut. Learn it from the ground level up. So at any given juncture, they ask you a question, you've endured it.
You're listening to Durable Value, an investor's podcast. We understand the world of commercial real estate can be daunting, but we want to make it as simple as possible for you. Get the free 56-point checklist for evaluating investment properties that Griseda Partners uses every day at grisedapartners.com/guides.
I've knocked on every single door in this marketplace. Why? Because I could confidently look at you in the eye and say, I've walked these buildings. I can tell you how that lobby looks. That's just hard work. That's a choice that people make.
Yeah.
And I think from that aspect, you just learn to, it's a process. Step by step, you'll build it up. The long-term approach was always to be, hopefully, an advisor to people making big decisions.
Yeah.
And that just comes through repetition, hard work, and to some degree, like a relationship, vulnerability, because it's selfless, right? Oftentimes we talk about this. Brokers, all you have is your time and your information.
Yeah.
And you could sink a lot of time in with somebody with nothing to show for it at the end of it. And that's the risk we run. So.
But we're in a trust-based business.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a business built on believing in people and believing that they'll do what they say they'll do.
Right.
Being able to count on people.
Sure.
And one reason I wanted to interview you is I've worked with dozens of brokers over the years.
Yeah.
You're that idea of a trusted advisor. Yeah. You're the best I've ever met at it. And
Thank you. That's an honor.
I don't say that lightly.
I appreciate it.
It's rare in this business to meet people that you feel like are really on your team, and I've enjoyed that piece of.
Likewise, I mean, it honestly is the dream of all dreams when you get into this business, because there's so much fight and struggle to compete to carve out who you are. In the end, if you're yourself and you commit yourself to people and ask the questions that are important, not to make a transaction, but to really fulfill what's the strategy here.
Yeah.
Let's go steps deeper. What are we really trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
In the short term, in the medium, and then in the long term. And if there, what's beautiful about real estate is we're all here for a reason. We all have similar desires and goals. There's a concentric circle. And I've always felt if we just spend our time focusing there's a lot of noise, but there's a reason why we're here together. And if we have similar values and similar work ethic,
well,
I think good things could come. And I mean, as a result, in a short amount of time, we've got $50 million worth of deals that were not on the market.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think I have any special sauce other than honest and hard work and the information and your trust, right? And collectively, we've been able to put things together. But it's a two-pronged process.
Well, the result of that trust is, for example, I'd say every week I get 5 deals emailed to me by various brokers, which I look at. But when you send me a deal, because there's that trust piece, I take it extremely seriously, and that's a wonderful advantage for both you and for me.
Yeah, if you think about it, my job is to help you do your job better. If I take the time to ask you questions and better understand what is going to work and what's not going to work,
yeah,
what doesn't work is imperative so we can better understand what do we actually present. Because you're going to take that information that you trust that I gave you in good faith to then take it to your group to socialize. Yeah. How are you going to be deemed if I gave you something that was inaccurate or didn't fit the criteria? That's a waste of your time. That's a waste of your board's time or your investors' time. And I mean, that's poorly reflective of what I've been doing with my time. So most importantly is don't worry and service yourself, service your clients. Yeah. Put yourself aside and just do the job that they're looking for. If you cannot, be open about it and move on. Yeah. And I think in that vein, it's worked out. And 15 years in a market, it's a 60 million square foot market. We've spent time taking pride in learning the market. Hopefully you understand the psychology behind every owner. Because when you're on the landlord side, you have to understand who you're competing with. Right. If we're sitting in this 4,000 square foot space, I have to know every other 4,000 square foot space within a certain area that we're competing with. And how does our building stack up versus theirs? And how does that owner's position of holding this asset compared to ours? Are they desperate for a deal? Are they able to reach certain passive, and it takes that information to then, give you the right advice so you can feel confident about going to making that next step.
Yeah. We were reflecting before this, and I know you and Ryan worked together on a deal 15 years ago or 12 years ago.
It started 15 years ago, and I think only 4 years ago I actually got the deal done.
Yeah.
Which is another kind of, you got to have a long-term approach and focus, or else, you've already invested that time. Are you going to let it go? After 5-6 years of you've invested in working for someone, you have to make the determination. Do you cut bait, or can you see this through? Unfortunately, Ryan decided to move on and left me there to deal with it, but somehow, some way.
You got paid.
I got paid.
Hey, congrats,
I got paid. Yeah. Believe it or not.
Well, and the deals we're working on now, you've been working on for many years as well.
Started about 10 years ago. Which
10 years ago. So I'm thankful that we get to be the buyers on.
I'm thankful that you're a buyer in this market that is open to dealing with the challenges I presented you. Which, with all big deals, what I'm finding is they're extremely complicated. And that's where the trust, I think, comes into play is
absolutely.
We have to understand that when we get to these very sticky situations, that we can trust that what we're sharing is actually real.
Yeah.
Because it's a gut, and we know that time is limited. Time kills deals. So
time kills deals.
Right? We've had our back against the wall. And we sit here smiling today. We've had a good week.
Who, as you look back at your career and your life, who are some of the heroes you've had along the way? Who are some people that have some way altered the course of your life, especially on as you think of investing or your career?
Yeah, I think early on my family, my parents, my uncle, my mom for pulling my sister and I out of a country going through a revolution, my dad for stomaching and getting over here and joining us, my uncle for kind of leading from a family standpoint. Those are difficult times, and to have that leadership is huge. Professionally, I guess starting as a kid, Michael Jordan has always been, he's been the gold standard of my life. Only because where he was one of the most talented people, he was the hardest working person. And every summer, all you would hear is how he would come to reinvent himself, to challenge himself. Because the concept is progress, to continually get better. I think in the business, we've had some, Todd Ushelman in our office is one of the kings of his coin term is play the game, PTG. And that's something we pride ourselves in, because just play after play. Don't get caught up. Don't celebrate too much. Don't get too down. Just keep playing the game. Randy Getz, a.k.a. the Messiah, he's always given me very sound advice. You've probably spoken with him.
Randy's wonderful. He's sage.
You just don't meet people like that often.
Yeah.
Just wonderful human beings that are extremely talented, that have provided sound advice for years and years, and highly regarded. John Frisch in our office, who in my belief has helped create a lot of Sacramento brokerage and laid the foundation. So these are people who have made huge, in my opinion, they've made big strides to allow me to be able to do what I do. And I think a big part of it is gratitude and paying your respect to those who have come before you, who have created this environment, who have shed this light on you. Yeah. Because a great degree of brokerage is other people sharing their experiences. Yeah. You being in their presence and hearing how they've adjusted and they've acclimated and they've handled conversations and tough deals. And without that, we don't have the ability to then share it with you. So just a few people. I'm sure I'm missing.
Let me zero in for a second on Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
We all grew up watching Michael Jordan. And
yeah.
What traits of his? How do you channel Michael Jordan in your piece of the world?
I think it starts from the competitive. Well, I think it starts for the love of what we do. Mm-hmm. I really do. I do love what I do. I don't love real estate so much as I love problem solving.
Yeah.
Right. We're engineering new deals.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to figure out ways that others have been unsuccessful in achieving.
Yeah.
And that love and drive is a hunger that every day you wake up to want to get better. And that's one of Jordan's best things is he's always getting better. Jordan never stayed the same. He got bigger. He got stronger as defenses honed in on him. He learned how to adjust. So the mindset is you never get comfortable. Yesterday is behind us. Tomorrow we get better.
I love it.
And in any aspect of life, from how you respond to an email, how do you address someone, how do you show space, how do you communicate difficult things? Every day is an opportunity to get better. And if you approach it that way, there's always so much, because what you learn is how much we don't know, how much better we can get. Failure is our best friend, right? The closer we get to failure, the closer we are to figuring out what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So from that aspect, it just, every day that the sun, that you're above ground, you have a new opportunity. And in real estate, that's all you have is that time. Yeah. So you kind of dictate the tone of your day, and I think the tone of your career to that extent.
One thing I've enjoyed about working with you is we've had plenty of ups and downs in the deals we've worked on.
Yeah.
But every time I call you, I never get, hey. It's always, hey, Joe. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't matter if, you hit a roadblock, something went wrong.
Right.
Like,
we're going to hit roadblocks.
You're positive, and you make positive things happen. And that's, I've appreciated that and tried to channel that a little bit in my own life.
It's easy to be negative.
Yeah.
And the problem with negative is it breeds negativity. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy to fall in because things are generally stacked against us. But if you focus on that positive and only stay focused on the positive, well, you might open yourself up to a whole bunch of other things that are great. Okay, there's bad all the time. Doesn't mean you have to tune into it.
Yeah. How do you see Sacramento shifting? And let's talk coronavirus. The world's a little bit different now.
Yeah.
How do you see these next 4 or 5 years playing out?
I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think we have seen a market. I don't think any market has been hit like this. Mm-hmm. We knew there should be some sort of real estate correction at some point. We didn't know it'd be at the hands of a pandemic. I think what's interesting about Sacramento is how government heavy focused we are. And government has already kind of implemented that, hey, maybe we can do some more teleworking. Mm-hmm. So them being, about 50% of the market or creating that market, I think we'll still see what's going to come about. How does this lag? I think what we'll see is some people try to correct, right size, as we heard in the last downturn. However, I think there's a component of culture that people still want to be in offices and still want to work collaboratively together. So I think we'll have a slow little mix up. I think we've seen a lot of great development over the last 5 years. We've seen a very good run. We might have to start seeing that slow down a little bit to make sure we can fully absorb all that. But I think overall Sacramento's on the right track. I think people recognize the quality of life you can live here, the accessibility. You got mountains, Tahoe, you got Napa, you got Modesto. So, I mean, you're an hour away from everything.
Ollie, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. And
I appreciate
look forward to working with you for decades to come, I hope.
Likewise.
So, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Durable Value, an investors podcast, where we demystify commercial real estate with safe, sound investment strategies to help you balance your portfolio. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to rate it on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more, visit GresetaPartners.com, where you'll find more information, investors tools, case studies, and more. This podcast is hosted by Joe Muratori and Ryan Suela. It's produced, edited, and mixed by Melodic, with intro music by Ian Post. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.